Hello, welcome to The Other Side of Deaf. I am Crystal Hand, your host, and before you listen to the first few episodes of this podcast, I thought I should give a brief introduction to what this podcast aims to do and why I have decided to start it. If you have decided to listen to this, you most likely are someone who either knows someone who is deaf, you are deaf and hard of hearing yourself, or you work in the field related to hearing loss. I am not deaf. However, I do belong to two categories that I just mentioned. I am the family member of two deaf individuals, and I work in this field. For years, I have been orbiting the deaf community in many capacities. Now, before the deaf community gets upset and comes riots at my house, let me assure you that I am in no way going to be speaking for the deaf community. I understand that since I am not deaf, I have no right to speak for you. However, after many years of witnessing life with deaf and hard of hearing people, there are some things I have noticed and hope to shed some light to some topics to others for them to learn from, and hopefully build some bridges amongst people that are constantly bickering. So, who am I and why do I care so much? Well, I am a hearing mom of two deaf children. One is almost an adult and one is a teenager. 15 years ago, when my son was identified as having hearing loss, I was thrust into this world. I didn't know it at the time, but learning about and advocating for deaf and hard of hearing individuals is my calling. I have spent the last 7 or 8 years working with hundreds of families from all different backgrounds and helping them navigate their way through raising deaf children. I have gone to countless seminars and conferences on hearing loss and the deaf community. I have worked with and become friends with deaf people, and through it all, I am raising deaf children. I've learned a lot over the years, but I also still have a lot of questions. But the biggest thing I've learned is that the deaf community has all these people that orbit around them: hearing family members, therapists, doctors, and other specialists. There are entire professions dedicated to hearing loss, and yet very few get out of their comfort zone and start exploring outside of what they know. We stay in our camps of what we believe is right, and we frown upon the people that might have a different view. We fight about who is right, and frankly, we stamp all over each other. Even the deaf community does this amongst themselves. We are all standing around fighting about what it means to be deaf, if it needs to be fixed, what technology is the best, education, and modes of communication. We fight about it all. The truth is, though, we are all missing the mark. If our goal is to enrich and make the lives better for deaf and hard of hearing people, then we should be working together, listening to each other and making it our mission to make this world more deaf-friendly. So, with this podcast, I am going to attempt to build some bridges by talking about every side of this topic. Some episodes you might love, others you might hate. My hope is to bring people together and not offend, but regardless of how you feel, we are going to talk about all the things others don't want to talk about. We're going to ask the questions no one else is asking, and we are going to lift up the rug and look at all the stuff everyone else has swept under it. Hopefully, we are going to have a lot of fun, but most importantly, we are going to break down barriers, learn from each other, and hopefully come closer together. So if you're up for it, I encourage you to stick around, subscribe to my channel, and get ready to learn. Here we go.